Hi everyone, it's Raghu back with an old friend, very old friend, Krishna Das. Krishna Das, how are you doing?
Okay, how you? I'm tightening my chair.
We're both a little bit under the weather, but we're doing this anyhow. We both got. I gave you a cold. I'm sorry about that. But
Yeah, I got it from you.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I seem to have it worse than you though, for some reason.
Well, I had it pretty bad for a few days. Now it's kind of today I'm a little better.
Huh?
Hopefully I'll be better tomorrow.
Yeah, and hopefully by next weekend when you do that big concert in
Yeah.
New York. Yeah. So the first thing I want to mention is that there is a new CD from Krishna Das, and it's out over the last weeks actually, and here in the fall of 2017, and so just talk a little bit about how that came together and why you titled it what you titled it, etc.
You're asking me to think about this.
Yeah,
I
just a
see.
little bit.
Well, the last couple of CDs I did were more studio, overdubs and in the studio, everybody adding parts. But I just felt that I wanted to do something more intimate and more spontaneous, and so we all played in together in the studio together, all the whole band. And the band's been playing together for so long that uh, all the few different variations of the band, have been playing together for so many years that it wasn't all you do is you just say 1, 2, 3, let's go, and
Mm.
everybody's there. So it was a wonderful feeling that way, and very simple. There, uh, there were only a couple of little overdubs, and Janiki sings with me on a couple of songs, and the usual suspects are there playing the instruments, and uh, it just
David
felt I wanted to do
Nichtern.
something. Yeah,
Yeah.
David McTurn and Mark Egan and Arjun and Nina Genevieve
Mm.
and Noah Hoffield, who's kind of slid in lately
Yeah, playing
into
cello.
there. Yeah, playing cello. And Mark Gorman usually plays with us on the road more and on the West Coast, but yeah, I just wanted it to be simple and straightforward and very. It felt deep to me. I wanted it to. I I just wanted to do it like who I am and what it is without any special effects or any kind of thing, And I think it really reflects that. I think it really feels very deep, and I mean, there's some party time too, but it definitely a deep feel to it,
Mm.
which is kind of a process that I keep going through, getting deeper and deeper.
Mm. But it sounds really fantastic. It was really well recorded.
Uh, we
By the
have the
way,
Avatar engineers, Jay Messina,
Jay. Yeah.
one of the greatest engineers in the world, especially when it comes to acoustic live music. I mean,
Yeah.
there's very few. Of course, he did Aerosmith for years, but and John Lennon and everybody, but he's a genius at acoustic recording.
Yeah, and he's been with you for so long. He knows all the intricacies and the
Yeah, he
subtleties of
knows
how you want it.
how we want it to
Yeah.
feel and everything, and he's fantastic.
So it's called Trust in the Heart, right? Am I
Trust
right?
in the heart, yeah.
Yeah. And that's something we definitely want to talk about a little bit. But I want to play something so people get an idea. If you have not heard anything from the album, we want you to hear a little bit so we can talk about it and it'll make sense for everybody. We're going to play a song called Namoh, and let's just play it.
Okay. Om Namo Gurudev Neem Karoli Baba
All right, so I do. That's Namoh, and there is the little bit of a backstory for me because we got together. It's a couple of years ago, summer before last, I guess. You had just the idea and the concept of the song had just come to you, and you said we were in Maui together visiting Ram Dass, and you said, "Hey, I want to play you something." And so you played this song, which as you have all just heard, uses our guru Neem Karoli Baba in the actual song, which is unusual.
It's unusual in some ways, and in other ways, many people do mantras with their guru's name. It's not unusual to do a mantra with your guru's name. Many people are initiated into mantras with their own guru's name. But it's something unusual for me that I haven't done before. And not for any reason other than I haven't done it out loud.
But
Anyway.
it was unusual for me just because I've always had I told you this at the time. All these people that use their guru's name in songs, and they're a little bit
In vain.
sort of more in New Age vein, shall we say?
Yeah, like what? I don't remember. Well, never mind.
Let's not.
Don't trash anybody online on the air.
Exactly. But anyhow, I always had a thing about it. So when you sang it, and you didn't say what it was, you just sang it, and then there it was, and so I had an immediate reaction. Oh Christ! Using Maharaj-ji's name, and just
or
knee-jerk.
Maharaj-ji, I should have used Christ's name. Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So then for me, as we sang it a little bit over the days that we were there, you sang it rather, and then I started enjoying, and then it started to strike a much deeper place, which it has for me over the last year and change until now. It's on this record to the point where it has it's been something that's deeply connected me in. Just like in the middle of the night when I might wake up and it's some kind of mind warp, that has been there. So I'm way appreciative of the fact that it exists now.
Well, to tell you the truth, I mean, I don't even put a picture. Mostly, I don't put a picture of Maharaj-ji up when I sing, and the reason is I want everyone to feel at ease. And for everyone to be able to come and sing without feeling that, oh, I don't want to sing to his guru. I have my own guru. People feel like that, and I respect that. And so because Maharaj is not necessary for us. He's more than just a personal guru. He's more than just a being in a body, because he's apparently not in a body at the moment. So he's become ultimate space. He's become, the divine presence. He's become the sky of consciousness for us, which is always here and always present. So it's not so much a personal thing, but still, I have to be honest. Every time I sing it, I'm always just a little bit, okay, here we go.
Oh, really? Huh?
Just because I don't know. It's almost like, well, never mind.
What? What?
It's almost like opening your heart, exposing yourself in a kind of a way. to be judged, to be evaluated and judged. Because it's the simplest thing. It's the most basic, trusting place in my heart. All I have in this world is Him. I don't know anything. I can't do anything. I can't think. I can't meditate. I can't concentrate. All I have is Him. And so to put that out there like that, it's something.
Yeah, I hear you.
But on the other hand, all I have is Him. So what else am I going to put out there?
Yeah, right.
And all the names, the Guru is the doorway to everything, and the Guru is the doorway. And the chant goes into Sri Ram Jai Ram, which of course was his mantra in a sense, the name of Ram. And so the idea is that through bowing to the Guru, entering through the doorway of the Guru, you come to Ram, which is the true nature of all beings, which is who the Guru really is, which is who we really are. And so it's that process of surrendering and bowing and of trusting in the heart.
Yeah. I love the title. Before we get...
I love that, there's that Trust in the Heart Sutra from the third patriarch.
Yeah.
It says, the great way is not difficult for those with no preferences, right? So anyway, so it's difficult.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit more about that, but before we do, I do also want to remind people that you are going to be out in California
soon,
November 17th through 19th. You're going to be at this new place called 1440 Multiversity, which is like a wonderful new platform for people to get together in retreat with wonderful teachers and teachings from all different traditions. And I also want to say that we're happy to at Be Here Now Network to have become partners as just now with them, and they're helping sponsor what we're doing on the podcast network and vice versa with what they're doing, and our we really love their values and what they're trying to accomplish. So any of you who are in the Santa Cruz area, go to 1440 Multiversity. You'll see it up on our page, our podcast page here of Mindrolling. You'll be able to link up, but Krishnas will be there, and if you're around over that week, I believe it's a weekend, 17th through 19th,
Friday to
Sunday, doing a retreat. Do find your way over there, especially if you're in the neighborhood. So 1440 Multiversity.
Yeah. I believe that the Saturday night kirtan is open or will be open by the time it comes around for people who aren't at the retreat to come. Right. But I don't know that for sure.
All right. Well, check in with them. They'll let you know, everybody out there. So... Interestingly enough, the Trust in the Heart is the name of the CD. And I said this to you recently. You didn't know because you don't pay too much attention to the themes that we develop for the Ramdas Krishnadas retreats in Maui.
No.
But...
because it's all the same anyway. Whatever comes out of my mouth and his mouth is pretty much the same, even regardless of the theme.
Yeah, but regardless of me twisting an arm to say, hey, can you talk about this? But it is about trust this winter when this retreat's going to go on, which unfortunately everybody out there, it's sold out. But
May is not sold out.
May is not sold out, and Krishnadas will be there with Ramdas. Early May, you check at ramdas.org, and you'll find out. Roshi Joan Halifax will be there, and Frank Ostaseski will be there as well.
May.
But actually, even with the November thing, everybody, even if you can't make it, we do live stream over the weekend. A bunch of the sessions, not all of them. So trust.
Trust, yeah. Trust is a big thing,
Very big.
We're not allowed to trust our own hearts as we grow up. We're not given that. We're not thrown back on ourselves or offered that place in ourselves, mostly by the culture and by our parents, who are the product of the Western culture. Everything you were supposed to want and everything that's going to bring happiness is supposed to come from outside of you. I mean, there's no looking within uh, in the culture as a rule. And the whole thing about so-called spiritual life is to look within, is to turn within, so to speak. I mean, these are metaphors. Is there really an inside? Is there really an outside? It depends. That's all up for grabs. But the idea is to real happiness, lasting happiness, can only come from us uh, entering into our own true nature, what's really within us. And if we don't trust our own self, even on a superficial level, if we don't trust our own intuitions and our own feelings, how are we going to even find that doorway into ourselves? So it's really a big thing. People always say, well, how do I know this practice is working for me or not? I said, only you know. Who else could know? You have to trust your intuition about it, trust your feeling about it. And it's very hard for us to do that.
Yeah.
Very hard for us to do that. And so why is chanting a great thing? Because the chants bring us inside there, into that place, that kind of feeling, which isn't dependent, isn't coming from the outside. It brings us, it moves us more deeply into ourselves and gives us a hit of what's in there, of what it feels like not to be outer directed, what not to be clinging to the outside stuff, and still feeling something good.
Yeah.
When this Rinpoche that I study with says things like emotions and our those kind of feelings are real. We really feel them, but they're not true. Real, but not true. So if you want true happiness, true love, trueness, if you want reality, we have to learn how to release our clinging to uh, the things that we experience as real, which is our emotions, our feelings, stuff like that. That has to be let go of little by little, and that's what chanting does.
Yeah. I tell people when we talk about this subject, I tell people that another thing that helps is if you meet a being, and they don't have to be enlightened, we wouldn't know that in any way anyhow, but there's an intuitive trust that can happen with somebody who's been a little bit further along the path. And my best example of this was when I first met Ram Dass, and I'm supposing you could say the same. But I was told about him at the radio station. They wanted me to promote a lecture he was giving, and I said, well, I don't do anything without hearing it. And they sent over a tape of a previous lecture, and I listened to it, and every word was, oh God, yeah, I've been waiting to hear this.
Yeah.
And just his tone of voice and so on. And then I thought, shit, I have got to meet him, and I want to bring him to the station and so on. So they did arrange that, and I did go out in Montreal, where I'm from, and found him, and he was alone in an apartment in Montreal, just hanging out, waiting to do this thing that night, I think it was. And he opened the door, and he just greeted me, but every bit of his being and his consciousness was directed only to me. It was like I was the only person in the world for him in that moment, and I just had this thing. Nobody had ever put that kind of attention and given me that kind of attention, not just physical attention and so on.
Yeah. It wasn't not just attention, but really paying attention.
Paying attention, yeah.
Really, really with you for that moment.
Yeah.
Really with you, not anywhere else. Not even evaluating you. There was no filters
Right.
between you and him, between us and him.
Yeah.
It was just right in, right there. That's the kind of thing that was.
Yeah, extraordinary.
When was that? What year was that? Do you remember?
So 69, end of 69, early 70, something like that.
69.
Yeah, and I know you had met him, a year and a half previously, 68 or whatever it was, and just the end of
About
67. Yeah.
No,
But I know you had. I mean, I remember you telling the story recently of going up to the farm in Massachusetts and seeing
New
him for the
Hampshire.
first time, New Hampshire rather, yeah, and seeing him for the first time, and having a very, very similar experience. And that experience for both of us, of course, that trust led us to have no doubt that we needed to get to India. And no matter what, even though he was saying, well, I can't tell you who my guru is and I can't tell you where he is or any of that, we knew we had to get there. And but that trust engendered something much, much deeper that I only understood years later, and certainly only understood after I met Maharaj-ji. But that intuitive trust that many, many people search for, and you can say, well, you can't depend on an external source for that trust, even a teacher, but there is an inspiration. Do you find that as well, that a teacher can give you?
No, of course. It's nothing's really external anyway. I mean, it's where is that trust? Where are you feeling that? Inside. Just the same as if you've felt distrust of someone, you'd be feeling it inside. It's your feeling. So but like I said, we're not trained and allowed to trust our feelings. So when a feeling is so strong that we really don't have any, that we really move into it fully, that's a big thing. That's a special thing. And that's a result of the purity of what we're coming into contact with. Because the whole thing with Ramdas is that Maharaj-ji is in him. And so and the inside in everyone is the same. So we're getting the inside. We're not being pulled out of ourselves. We're being pulled into ourselves. Because he's greeting us from the inside out, essentially, from our hearts.
Right.
Yeah, and that's when we really feel that, it's like when you fall in love, even with the person, you don't doubt that. You don't doubt it. You feel it. It's total for as long as it lasts. This one's lasted, 50 years already, so that's pretty good. So it's the openness and the purity of Maharaj-ji and Ramdas that touches that place in us, which is deeper than our thoughts and emotions and our doubts and our fears. It's just deeper than that.
And we are told over and over and over again by those who have gone a little ahead on the path or way ahead on the path that practice. So you sent me this a link to a movie the other day. That's just a fantastic movie.
Isn't it beautiful?
Oh my God! I mean, to think that such a thing exists. So it's I can't remember. Do you know the name of it? You know what? We'll put it up on the page.
On the web,
on the web page. On Mindrolling, so people will be able to access. It's about an incredible yogi, basically, who goes off at something. And really, it wasn't early. You hear a lot of these beings go off when they're 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and so on. He went off when he was 24, after he was married, actually.
Right.
And into very, very solitary and barren landscapes in just practicing. Yeah. So what's your impression of him? Lama Govinda is his name.
Yeah, not the Lama Govinda.
Yeah,
not German.
Right.
The famous German Tibetan Lama. No, this was a Tibetan. It was Tibet, right? Was it Tibet?
It's North India. It's North India, actually, where he was. It was not Nepal or Tibet. Yeah.
Himachal, maybe. Himachal Pradesh.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, his name was also Lama Govinda, which is unusual because Govinda is a
Indian name.
Hindu name, an Indian name, and the lamas are Tibetan, Vajrayana anyway. But there are some lamas with those kind of names. Um, yeah, it was so beautiful. He just practiced and practiced and practiced, and gradually he understood that the people needed something, and he just started coming out of his cave and just hanging out with people and doing things and blessing people, and then going back to his cave. I mean, it's so beautiful. It's hard to believe.
I mean, and he didn't. He would go on a pilgrimage, but a
Yeah,
pilgrimage to nowhere. He
yeah,
just went on a road in his,
yeah,
I don't know, in his neighborhood, if you want to call it
yeah,
that. And some part of it he traveled by car, and you're just seeing the way he walked and what he looked like, and
yeah.
he was so humble and
Oh, that,
modest.
yeah. It's ridiculous.
And we're talking being in long time in
M-
caves or in
Many, many, many years. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. The humility is something. It's People say to me all the time, "Oh, you're so humble," and I say, "Yeah, I really got humble down." You know, it's hard. Humble is so deep. Nobody understands how hard it is for true humility to manifest. I
Mm.
mean, it's really egolessness is real humility, and entering into that deep awareness. That's real humility. Anything other than that is at best a good effort.
Yeah.
And
Well, he
so,
talks about compassion a lot.
oh yeah,
I mean, pretty much says that's it is all contained within compassion.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But the
yeah.
other
It's
thing,
extraordinary.
the other thing that he said that he said you a guru is absolutely necessary. Then after some time, you you've got to do the work. He didn't
Yeah.
say it in that kind of pedantic way, but he did say it that way.
Hmm.
And I've heard you say stuff around this particular subject, and correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, I think mostly you say it is not necessary to go to India to find a guru to
Or
do
or anywhere else. Yeah.
or anywhere else. But how do you, how do
Well,
you?
you can't find a guru. I mean,
Yeah, right.
you can't find your own will not lead you to a guru. Our own hearts will lead us to what we need. And if we need a physical guru at this point in our development, someone will manifest. If not, someone won't manifest. But there's nothing we can do about it. It's not something you go and do with your own will. We were drawn to India. It was irrevocable on our. We couldn't change the way we were going. And unless I mean, I gave every. I mean, I was going for the duration. I was never planning to come back to America. I
Hmm.
gave everything away. I sold everything I had. I had nothing left except a couple of boxes of whatever, I don't know, in my mother's basement. And I was never planning to come back. Uh, I wanted this so much and it seemed to me that that's what I needed to do. Of course, Maharaj-ji had other plans. He knew what I really needed, which was to come back to America and deal with my shit. Which, after a certain point of being with him, he must have felt I was able to. It was now time for me to go back and start processing. I, looking back on it, I think I would have disagreed with him, but I didn't get a vote, so I came back when he sent me.
I
But
disagreed as well.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, God.
He said, "Too bad." I said, "Baba, I'm just learning Hindi. Too bad. You have to go back. You have attachment there."
Mm.
And boy, was he right.
Yes, he
How
was.
much time?
I'm just thinking of what you said. He has attachment there. I he as you well know, every day I would be sitting with my wife to be Parvati, who many of you out there know wrote this wonderful book, Love Everyone. And he'd say every day, "Oh, you're friends? Oh, it's very nice. Friends." And yeah, we're friends. And then this kept going on and on and on until one day he said to Parvati, "Did you sleep with him?" And she was all indignant. "Of course not. I wouldn't do such a thing, brahmachari scene or whatever, right? Celibate." And he laughed. Of course, that night we did.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
We were in
What?
the Jaipuriya Bhavan, right? The
Oh,
guest
yeah,
house not far from the ashram. I don't know. He put it in our heads, and there we go. There we were.
yeah.
So the next day it was all about, you getting married? And, just mercilessness, because
Oh,
I
God.
didn't want any of it. I had this whole other image of myself as a sadhu.
I still have that
Complete
image.
bullshit. Yeah, I still got some of that going myself.
Yeah.
But anyhow, and he said, "You should. Oh, she's a good woman. Does she feed you? Yes. Does she give you money? Actually, she gave me some money. She's a good woman. You do this." Anyhow, next day I went back and I asked to talk to him. And of course, you remember how he used to say, marriage brings lust, greed, and attachment.
And anger.
And anger, yeah. So I went to him and I said, "Maharaj-ji, you said marriage brings lust, greed, attachment, and anger. Why would anyone do it?" I was really saying to him, "Why are you doing this to me?" And he looked at me and he just, one word in English, "attachment." And I knew I was attached to being with this woman, period. And we
Yeah.
ended up having two great sons, and and fulfilled a bunch of karma. So yeah, attachment.
Yeah.
Attachment.
Attachment, it's not necessarily bad in the sense that it comes from our own karmas, I would guess, coming to fruition. Things that enter into our life stream come as a result of our own karmic predicaments, and how we deal with them is up for grabs, essentially. How we deal with the attachments and the karmas that arise have a lot to do with where we're sitting in ourselves and how we see our lives and how we see other people, and you just do the best you can. There's really no playbook for it that's written in advance. Everybody has their own way of working through the stuff. You may not even think you're working through stuff, but at some point that you might recognize that or not. I mean, it's like, yeah, it just happens, and then you're in it. And how did it happen? I don't know. It reminds me of an incredible thing. Not exactly the same. A few years ago, I was in Kenchi, and two old devotees came who had visiting. They were married, and they were visiting for the first time since Maharaj-ji left the body. Very long time, many, many years. And one of them, the woman was, while we were singing chalisas at Maharaj-ji's temple, I noticed the woman standing kind of shock still on the steps by his tucket, on the porch there. And I just noticed her standing there for a long time, and I thought, something's up there. But so we kept singing, and after chanting was over, standing around, she came up to me and said, "Krishna Das, I think you're the only person here who could understand what I'm going to say to you." I said, "What's that?" She said, "I was standing there on the steps by the tucket where Maharaj used to sit, the bench, the bed. And I realized that I was standing in the same spot where I used to stand when he was there in the body. I was standing in the same spot, looking at the tucket the way I used to look at the tucket. And I remember thinking and feeling 40 years ago, as I stood there looking at him, that I was exactly where I wanted to be, that I never wanted to leave this place. I always wanted to be right here." And she just looked up at me and she said, "What happened? What happened? Married, kids, family, business. 40 years goes by. What happened? I was there. I was exactly where I wanted to be. What happened? I, it was an extraordinary moment, you know.
Mm.
It was just, and this is the way he is, you know. He gives you what you need, and then boom, he sends you transfer hogya. He transfers you to the back into your life stream, you know. He pulls you out of your life, throws in whatever has to be put in there, and then sends you back to work to live your life in the best way, you know, and recognize and manifest all the beauty and love that he opened us up to. Yes. What happened? She
What
said.
happened?
Whoa.
Wow.
Because I remember the same thing, you know.
Yeah.
Thing and the feeling of when she was the feeling while she was standing there in the old days was that I'll always be here.
Yeah.
It'll always be like this.
Right.
And then 40 years later, what happened? Amazing.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know if this just came to light. I think I read it this morning. One of our satsang who is in India by Kenji, Ramrani, a woman came to the hotel above Kenji a few days ago. This is an amazing story, actually.
Uh-huh.
A woman from France, a French woman, who just speaks very little, almost no English. She came, and her story is this. She was living, had a family, lost her husband, either divorced, I'm not quite sure how, had some children, and there was a close friend or a friend who acted as a father to these children and was close to this woman for many, many, many years. Suddenly, he disappeared, and she was absolutely devastated. This was all she had in life, was the solidity of this friendship and this person who
after her husband had passed.
Either he passed or he divorced or he was not present, one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
So in the midst of this tremendous pain and suffering, suddenly a knock on the door. Opens the door. Some elderly man in a blanket says to her, "Music. Go listen to some music." Something like that, okay? And disappears. Leads her to what?
What do you mean disappears? He walked away?
No,
or
no.
vanished in thin air?
Yeah, I mean, she looked away and then he wasn't there. That kind of a thing.
Uh-huh.
All right. Anyhow, the next thing she knows, she comes upon some music. Guess who? Krishna Das.
I have no idea. Oh.
Led her to go to Kenchi to be with Maharaj-ji.
Uh-huh.
Okay? I mean, how crazy is that? And she got this out of her because she was able to speak enough words of French to get this story out. I just read it. I mean, you know, as whatever we know, all things being, you know, a little odd.
Yeah.
This is just out of the blue that Maharaj-ji is still doing things like this, where there's no relationship whatsoever. This woman apparently had no idea of anything except that she was in this tremendous suffering. Bang, he appears, and next thing she knows, she's got one of your CDs. Crazy, no?
Remember the Indian devotees used to say, he gets his own work done. He doesn't need us to do anything. If we are doing something, it's just the appearance of doing something. He does his own work. So when I'm singing, really, there might be times when I really think I'm singing, you know, when it's me, but I'm not that stupid anymore, you know. At least 24/7, I'm not that, you know. I know it's him touching people. It's his essence in the voice that's touching people. I'm the front man, and I'm happy to be the front man. It's fine with me. I'm more than happy. I'm honored, and it's my life.
Mm,
It's my breath
mm.
to to chant with people, and it's the best thing I do for myself. But I know it's him. I mean, it's not even a question of knowing. It is. It's all him. He's pulling all the strings. He's the great puppet
Mm.
master, and the puppets forget that they're puppets. That's the problem. Once you realize you're that who's pulling the strings, then you can just relax and float through life in the right space because everything is going on around you. So
But it's
he
pretty.
doesn't. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pretty interesting, though. We just spent time with our good friend in India, and I'm in a hotel room with him, and my air conditioning goes bad. It's like 100 degrees. It was not a good scene. I called the front desk. Say, hey, could you send up somebody to fix this? A kid like 24 years old or something comes up to
Yeah.
fix it, and he fixes it. He doesn't speak that much English, but enough to
Yeah.
say, because I mean, we made an impression walking around the hotel. We were the only white people probably. And he says, "Can I meet Krishna Das?" I go, "What? Are you kidding?" And we set up a meeting, and he did a selfie the next morning. And where did
He was. I met him in the hall once, and he said, "Can you give me? Can I get your CD, your new CD?" So I gave him all my CDs on a pen drive.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
The engineer?
Yeah. He was in the hallway once, and I came out of my room.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Sweet
Anyhow,
boy.
yeah, yeah, really. Bringing back India to India is a nice thing too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh boy. So yeah, just referencing a little bit about. I mean, for me, like you, I do go back. Well, you go more often than I to India, but that is my retreat time to spend in India with the amazing beings that we've met and family and so on. And there's
What an incredible trip we had, huh? It was like we met so many elders on this trip.
oh
So many elders. It was every place we went, we got a chance to hang out with our elders, and that means old,
yeah.
obviously, really old. And they're all so plugged in, and Swami Vimalananda at Shivananda Ashram.
That was
He's
so
so
great.
beautiful, so beautiful.
Oh
I
my.
should put up that picture you sent me today of the
Yeah.
two of us.
Yeah.
I'll put that up on Facebook.
Yeah.
And Subhash-ji, our great friend, old devotee Maharaj-ji's, and in Nainital KK and Siddhima, and
Yeah.
everywhere we went, we met really old, even the previous generation, which was so plugged in.
Yeah.
They
And
make us look like pollywogs,
pollywogs.
tadpole with
Yes,
no hand,
pollywogs. um,
babies.
but it was like the way that when we were first in India with Maharaj-ji, when he was in that body, and how he took care of us. I mean, we were fed the way that we were fed all the time, not just food, but the love of these
Yeah,
people
yeah,
is extraordinary. And wherever we went this whole trip, we had that love, and and we had we had divine presence in different ways with different beings and so on, and real darshan. And you know for me, here I'm back home dealing with stuff, quote unquote, and yeah, and that's a secret sign, by the way. Those of you who will see this video, I just got the secret sign, and that'll be something we'll tell. Maybe we'll do a video, and then after we die, we'll be able to show it. But what I'm trying to say is, for God's sake, we have been given so much for so long. Oh, I mean, and this trip was just the essence of it. I mean, so much grace.
and we're still such assholes. It's
Yeah,
hard to believe.
that's my question.
That's
You,
the extraordinary part of it. How could we be such assholes? How could we be so stupid? How could we be so selfish? How could we be so asleep? How could we be so dead-hearted? How could it be that we're so fucked up after so much grace?
yeah,
It's extraordinary.
yeah.
I
I'm
have no
looking.
I have
Come
no
on,
answer for this.
no
I have no
answer.
answer. I'm in awe of how stupid we are.
Mm.
I am. I can't talk about anybody
No,
else.
no, I'm right there with you. I mean, I told you I took a walk earlier today, and it just all came back to me, and
Mm.
and just the tentacles of this self interest, that
Uh,
it's just. Oh, I mean, geez, it's really hard to take. And I had a couple of incredible moments myself. I didn't even really
yeah.
talk to you about it. Of just where the veil lifted completely for just a flash, a couple of different times in different situations. And what's enough? It's like Maharaj-ji. I mean, he would do these miraculous things with us, which we knew he knew everything about us. He knew shit that we didn't even know, and then we'd only know after he said it, and so on. And we'd be going, well, that was good. Maybe another one might really solidify the faith. And
If you're ripe, one slice of the knife, the fruit falls down. It just, whoop, it just a little wind blows and the fruit falls. We are so unripe, it's hard to believe. But what can we do? We just have to accept ourselves the way we are and deal with it and be as as present as we can in the swamp of our own bullshit.
yeah. One thing Ram Dass talks about, which is really relevant to this particular part of the conversation, and he has the right to really talk about this. And I don't know, that's not the right word, but I'm talking about contentment.
Yeah.
He talks so much about contentment, being content in the moment. And of course, with the kind of suffering that he's
Ugh.
had over these last 20 years, it's just, as I say, he can rightfully say, when he says, "I am
Yeah.
I am content," it really means something. And
Yeah.
and I
It's
think
amazing.
about us, and
We take so much for granted.
really,
I mean, uh, all of our suffering, so much of our suffering, even at our age, this little group of people, we have very little real physical torturous suffering, which many people do. But still, we think we have so much suffering, but it's all in our heads, and which is where suffering really is, essentially. But it's in our minds, and we're so ungrateful for all the good things in our lives, and we're so blind to all the beauty and love that's available to us in our lives, and we turn so much of it away. It's just astounding.
yeah,
Astounding.
yeah.
Yeah.
But back to our.
What to do? What?
That's like when you talk about Casey Tuari, our mentor, and you talk about how he used to go into samadhi, and I hear, and then you say to his wife, "Ma, what, what's going to happen here? What do we?"
When is he coming back?
Yeah, and
Don't
she,
know.
yeah, that's the thing.
And I used to sleep when I would go to the house. She would sleep with the kids, and I would sleep in the bed with him. And he would get up at 3:34 every morning, go to the bathroom, come back, and go boom. And not once in 20 years did he ever say to me, "Would you like to meditate?" He never said anything to me like there was no should. There was no. He accepted me as I was. He didn't want me to be any other way. He didn't. He had the spiritual presence and the right to say to me, "Sit up, asshole, and let's get this together." But he never did.
No,
I just turned over the other way and went back to sleep every time.
phenomenal.
I I'm in awe of how dumb and tamasic I am. It went on and on and on.
God. You're reminding me. Everything you say is reminding me of something worse that I've done. I was with him in with my mom in Jageshwar, and we were staying in a guest house. It was completely empty. My mother had a room, and then he's sitting with me. I said, "Okay, we get this room." And he's sitting. So you'll stay here? And I said, "Well, no. There's so many rooms here. I'll get my own room." I got my own room. I did not stay with him for the couple of nights that we were there, when I
With
had the
your
opportunity to just be with him 24/7, right? And he,
who with who?
Tuari, KC,
Oh,
he invited me, hey, we'll
oh
stay
yeah, yeah,
together.
yeah, yeah. And that was one of my greatest joys when we used to travel together. We traveled year after year. We went all around India, and we always stayed together in the same room. It was such a great feeling to go to sleep with them in the same room. I wake up in the morning, and Ma was cutting fruit,
Mm,
making chai,
mm,
and uh, it was just too amazing.
mm,
So sweet. It was such an incredible feeling. I never had that feeling growing up with my own family,
yeah,
at least not after a very young age.
mm,
I think I had it early on, very early on, but then it changed. And so much, it was so important for me, and the fact that I'm still here at all, with the love I got from the Tuares, the way that I was accepted by the kids as the elder brother
mm,
to this day.
yeah,
And the Ma and Baba accepting me like that, just it was perfectly natural. It was just what it was. It was like a transfusion. It was just too beautiful.
And the nice thing is, by the way, it's reminding me that we're going to share that to whatever
Ah, yeah,
extent.
that's true.
Yeah, we're putting
Yeah, I hope we
together.
get that together.
Yeah, well, it is coming together actually, and
Yeah,
hopefully next year it'll see the light of day, which is a little documentary, because we have footage of Casey
yeah,
from back in the day, and we have a bunch of people, yourself and I and others, talking about our experiences with him, and incredible photos. We have incredible photos over a long
yeah,
period of time. So yeah, that's something that we really wanted to share with everybody. He, I mean, we had several mentors: Dada Mukherjee, KK Shah, and KC Tuari, and of course, in a way, I don't even put Ma. Siddhi Ma is not a
no,
mentor. She is more of part of Maharaj-ji's flesh. I don't know how to put it, but whatever.
yeah,
Yeah. So we've been really fortunate. So yeah, we ought to have a little contentment. We're gonna stretch and reach for it, given the blessings that we've had. And
yeah,
but the truth is, you've been sharing them for many years now, and all of us do whatever it is we can do in our own little light to share all of this with folks. So I guess we don't need to be too hard on ourselves in that way. Um, Thanks for being here.
good. Yeah,
Appreciate it. Yeah, we
good to
haven't
see you
done it.
again.
Yeah, again,
Again, since a week or two.
week ago.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to do this. We haven't done it in a while. Everybody, please go to BeHereNowNetwork.com/mindrolling, and you will see the links to get Krishna Das's new record, Trust in the Heart, and whatever else, links to what he's doing. I think I'll mention this as well. You might have to give me the name, but there's a wonderful new online course that you did
yeah.
recently. Do you know the name of it?
Probably not. Let me see. Hold on. Well, it might be called this is terrible.
We're
Um,
going to put it up there no matter what.
it'll be
There's
up
a
there. Yeah,
great,
if
it's
it's done
around
by
bhakti.
it was done through Yoga Glow
Yeah,
in
there you go.
LA, so you can go to Yoga Glow and look for me. But it's the path of devotion, it's the path of love, and what
Mm,
it really means in our daily lives and how it helps us get through our day in a good way. There's chanting, there's japa, repetition of
mm,
mantra,
mm,
there's a lot of discussion about our own issues and how the chanting and how opening our hearts helps us really get to the right place. It's really, I have to tell you, I had an incredible experience doing it. I was just sitting there in front of a camera,
Mm.
and everything fell away. I don't even know what I don't I I didn't even see what was in front of my eyes. I just was immersed in the space and the
Mm.
talking that was coming out. It was really, for me, it was super powerful. And I
Mm.
think it's a very deep thing.
Yeah, I remember you told me after you did it. I remember you were going that weekend, and then we talked after that. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was. So everybody pick up on that. You'll see it up on the Mindrolling page. All the links will be there for all this stuff, and you'll be able to partake. So thank you again.
Okay.
And thanks everybody for listening out there and for supporting BeHereNowNetwork.com. And we shall see you next week.
Okay. Ram Ram.
Ram Ram.
Take care.